Robe is on location at the Rocks in Sydney, Australia with lighting designer Matt Marshall. So, how do you know this location?
I know this location because it's kind of a cross point for a bunch of major companies, arts companies in Sydney. So you've got the Wharf just down here with Sydney Theatre Company, Sydney Dance Company, Australian Theatre for Young People, and the Sydney Opera House, one of the most iconic spots here next to the Harbour Bridge.
It's an absolutely stunning location, this. So we're very happy to do this interview here. But let's just take a little look back, just do a rewind. And can you tell me when you first got interested in lighting? Was there an incident or something that sparked you?
Probably the first trigger for me was being taken to a concert. An Australian singer, John Farnham, known as The Voice in Australia. And my neighbours took me to a concert when I was probably 8 or 9 years old. And I sat down before the show and I saw someone climbing a wire ladder up into the rig. It was a follow spot operator, and I think that's my first trigger of seeing or realising that, you know, this thing was being crafted on stage. And maybe if I didn't go to that concert, I would have not got into lighting.
Where did it go from there?
It was something I was always passionate about, the technology and also video technology, which was advancing rapidly. And then I went to a school that was very into art, so there was a lot of performance, a lot of theatre, dance, and I sort of just fell into playing with a lighting desk and video editing, but lighting became my thing, and so I had a lot of exposure to it at high school. I worked out in high school that I could actually go and study, so there's an institution here in Perth, actually on the west coast, called WAPA, the West Australian Academy of Performing Arts. It's a really well-known arts institution that trains technical and musical theatre. Hugh Jackman's from there. It's a very, very big in musical theatre and technical production. So I did a 3-year course in lighting design.
And was there like a first or a significant show or something that really like launched your career?
Yeah, for me, coming straight out of university and working for a professional company and doing one of the first shows I did, career highlights of the Mamu, which was about the bomb testing the British government did in Maralinga in Australia for the atomic bomb. And so we made a show, took it to Adelaide Festival, and I guess that was my first kind of realisation of, oh wow, this storytelling that we're doing and how it can affect people, and that's kind of the part that you get of being able to tell stories. And then that show went on to have further success, went to Germany, and so I travelled with that. But that was kind of like, oh wow, you know, this is kind of what I'm into. This is storytelling and using light to tell story.
You've worked in quite a lot of different fields of lighting, haven't you?
Yes.
Opera, dance, theatre. Do you enjoy all of them, or do you have a preference, or is the mix the greatest thing?
I enjoy a mix. I love from day to day. I mean, yesterday I was doing a play in Perth. Today I'm on to some disco cabaret that'll be at the Opera House in a month. I don't like structure. I couldn't do the same thing. I couldn't work in an office 9 to 5. I love that one day I can be doing contemporary dance, the next day I'm doing theatre and opera. I tended to do a lot of theatre in the beginning of my career, whereas now I do a lot more opera. But I think I've just fallen into that, the directors that I work with. But I enjoy the diversity. I think that if you have a skill set using light, that can be used in so many different applications. And I just enjoy that different buzz, different energy. Dancers have a lot different energy to an actor.
And can you tell me a little bit about your work with Sydney Dance Company?
I started working at Sydney Dance Company around 2014 with their New Breed program, which is emerging choreographers and new work. So really interesting collaboration, working with new teams and putting on new works, collaborating with costume designers, choreographers, and just creating that from scratch. So I've done a few of those New Breed programs, taken one of those to Germany, and I've worked with Raphael Bonicello, who runs the company. I've done tango at the Sydney Opera House with him and the Sydney Symphony Orchestra. But yeah, lots of new works.
What's the most interesting location you've ever worked?
There's been many interesting different locations. I mean, I've done things from cruise ships to, you know, strange places, New Caledonia. I did a show there in an amazing kind of theatre that looked like something from another planet, aliens or something. For Bulgaria, I've done a gig with a jewellery launch in Darling Point in a famous old mansion, millions of dollars of jewellery around, and having to light this entire house and grotto and party using all the house is all programmable light systems. Just, yeah, there's been some crazy different gigs. Cruise ships are always tough. There's one pulled up right here, but yeah, chaos.
Do you have a favourite piece of light art or light artist?
Yeah, Oliver Eliasson is definitely one of my favourite artists. I saw an exhibition of his here at the Contemporary Museum maybe 10 years ago, and super inspiring. I mean, I think that was the first time I'd seen his sodium vapor room, which was a room entirely lit with sodium vapor and completely takes away your colour perception. But just the way he uses light in many different forms, as sculpture, he light show, he does architectural things. But yeah, just a super inspiring artist who is just a pure light artist, and he does that in all different forms.
Why do we need light in our lives?
I think we need light like we need art. Light creates atmosphere, and atmosphere creates moments. So I think, you know, even at home, I'm so guilty of it. I have lighting everywhere. People come around and they ask me what's the special occasion, but that's just what I like. Good atmosphere creates good times. Have a dinner party, do it by candlelight, as opposed to a fluorescent. It's going to be a different dinner party.
What do you most love about your work?
I love that my work is different every day. I love that I'm kind of in control of my work, my schedule, that my days are spent collaborating with other artists, you know, taking on other experts from costume, set, all kinds of design elements, and that's my day. You know, it's super inspiring sometimes to just sit and have a conversation. Tonight I'm meeting with a choreographer for dinner to talk about a gig for next year. You know, it's exciting that you meet different people. Then if you jam together, then you keep working. You know, you build your little teams. At the end of the day, to see smiles on the faces of audiences. I mean, I think that's ultimately what we're doing, is to enjoying seeing other people enjoying performance.
What's great about living and working in Australia?
Australia's great to work because of, I think, our attitude. We're very easygoing, there's a good sense of humour, everyone kind of chips in and gets on with their job. Also very specialised, you know, there is lighting people as specialists, a lighting programmer as specialist at that. I think we all work together to make product. It's sort of different around the world how some places can be way more departmentalised. In America it's very separate in terms of mechanists and lighting, but in Australia it's more like community. We all go in together to make a show. It's a shared thing.
Yeah, there's a lot of teamwork here.
Teamwork, and
a lot of people talk about that.
Yeah. And just good attitude, good humour.
Good
because
humour.
we should be having fun.
I know you mentor students at a couple of academies. If you had one piece of advice to give to an aspiring young lighting professional, what would it be?
I think just being proactive, being dedicated and aware. You know, this is a skill set in the theatre of just being aware of forward thinking. And you can just see this in people. You know, I'm often working to a venue. I'll walk into the Opera House in a couple of weeks and there's a different bunch of crew there. And you just immediately, as a lighting designer, you see the people that are being proactive. You see people clearing road cases out of the way, thinking the next step ahead. And I think that's just an instantly recognisable skill. As soon as I see that in a student, I go, oh great, they've got what it takes. And I think that's all you need to do. If you're there, if you're present, you will be noticed and the work will come from that.
Is there a show or production that you actually dream about lighting?
My one thing that I haven't done in Sydney that I'd love to do is the New Year's Eve. The bridge, yeah, the bridge, they do the whole harbour, everything's time coded. That's on my to-do list.
It's actually one of the most spectacular of the New Year's Eve
spectacular,
shows.
and we're kind of one of the first in the world. I think maybe New Zealand a bit before us, but it's sort of the image of New Year's Eve is always this harbour.